Welcome to your patch notes for the month of June. I'm your host Paul James, and you've got a special edition this month. You've got a week full of patch notes. Why? Because it's the biggest event in video games this week, E3. We've sat through each and every one of the video game press conferences from all the big publishers that are presenting, bar Nintendo. That's a whole other thing, let's not talk about it. And basically I'm talking to you right now because what you're going to see in the videos coming up is a full screen version of all the trailers that appeared with us talking over the top of them. That is because we've sat through numerous hours of game trailers, conferences. We've been up for 36 to 40 odd hours without having slept, and we're looking slightly disheveled. We might pop in here or there, but for the most part you will not see us. So to highlight what you're going to be seeing this week, Monday you're going to get EA, Tuesday Bethesda, Wednesday you'll get Microsoft, Thursday for Ubisoft, and Friday you'll get a chance to watch and see what went on with Sony and PlayStation. Each of those videos will last about 15-20 minutes where we discuss what we saw, what we thought, and what it means for the future. So without further ado, let's flick to the next podcast. We're back once again with another E3 kind of wrap-up. I'm your host Paul James. I'm joined by Jay Parnas.
Yes, getting tired now.
We're starting to struggle a bit. And today we're talking about the Ubisoft press conference and kind of what we saw and thought from that one. So first up, the conference had kind of kicked off with Just Dance 2017.
So to be very clear up front, I was KO'd during this one. I was out. I was unable.
Viewers, the thing we need to keep in mind is for us, the conference started at
6 a.m. After being up
off the back of Microsoft at 2:30 in the morning.
2:30 till 4 something.
Bethesda and EA and everything that had been
during
the day before as well.
Yeah.
So we both kind of crashed leading into it. I woke up on the dot of 6, walked in, and the first thing I saw was this.
And I woke up and then proceeded to immediately go back to sleep. So I've actually watched everything back, and I have a good idea of everything that went on. So we'll be capable.
And for the most part, we're not going to comment on Just Dance because we couldn't care less, as did everyone in the crowd there. No one cared. The best thing to come out of what they did was immediately afterwards when Aisha Tyler walked out, is they kind of took a moment to acknowledge everyone from Oakland and the issues that had gone on there, and that was a really nice, sincere moment and went down very, very well.
Yeah, for sure.
And they used the fact that they had a bunch of stupid dancers out there performing beforehand. They got them all together and kind of did it as a group, which was quite a nice gesture.
Yeah.
But one thing to note, and if you saw at the very bottom there, it actually said NX, and they were quite clear that most, I don't remember the number now, but I feel like most of the games that were on show here will be coming to NX.
I did not
really quite
know
surprising.
that.
So that will be, for example, we're seeing Watch Dogs right now. Now, obviously, Watch Dogs is coming out November, but presumably
NX
that means
not
that
far
when
behind.
the NX comes out in March, that it's coming with it, which is good.
Which means that the NX potentially has quite a large launch lineup.
Yeah.
If you're looking at...
I mean, they can't, obviously, without wanting to get too much into Nintendo talk, they can't rely on this because the game will be 5 months old or thereabouts by the time the NX comes along.
Sure.
They really need to rely on new releases and their own things, but at the same time, it's good that they're getting a catalogue together straight away. And Ubisoft's always been pretty good at supporting new consoles as well.
And very good at making trailers for Watch Dogs, because this looks like a lot of fun. Now, whether the actual game is any fun, like the first one...
well, that's the thing. The first game, they kind of sold it quite well with their demos and stuff. I was really impressed, really looking forward to it, and really, really let down by the first game, as most who played it were.
Quite underwhelmed.
So with any this has got a really cool style to it.
It does.
Which the first game didn't have.
I think
they didn't even go for in their trailers. It was very gritty and very serious. Here, it's not.
No, it's not taking itself seriously at all, but it also does look like it shows a lot of the stuff you can do. I think the way that they're going about it is showing many of the little things that you can do. Obviously, they're doing it, trying to do it seamlessly, but obviously that won't be how you'll be doing it in game. I think they're just showing off all the cool things that you're able to do and potentially can chain into each other. But yeah, look, that looked really interesting. I would like to see more of that. I would actually like to see a proper gameplay demo, which probably
will be publicly available at some point. Also, keep in mind, you're seeing the trailer there. It says PlayStation. It is coming to Xbox and PC and all the usual stuff. It's just the trailer that Ubisoft put out there, so they obviously have some sort of partnership with PlayStation there.
Yeah, I think that was the Zodiac Killer stuff. Maybe that was like an exclusive.
So what we're seeing right now is For Honor.
Yeah.
Which is a game you didn't know a hell of a lot about even prior to this, really.
No, not at all.
To be fair, I think there's still a lot we don't really know about it. It's coming out in February 2017. This might be one of those NX sort of games.
This is the real Dark Souls?
Real Dark Souls. There you go.
It starts here.
Hate in the comments begins.
No, that's
no. So For Honor, and this trailer doesn't quite show it. It is just a trailer, but there was a gameplay demo which showed off single player stuff, which reminded me a much better version of Dynasty Warriors. There was a lot of enemies that you could be taking out there. That's kind of the bit that I correlate there with Dynasty Warriors. But there was some real precision and skill required, and it was really quite clever. The 1-to-1 stuff. If someone's about to take a swing at you, tilt your right stick to the right, and that's when you're moving your sword out. You're parrying and moving in line.
And the direction that you're parrying actually has an effect on whether you're actually parrying or not.
Yeah. Which is good. Like, they're really emphasising the melee combat, and like it's not an easy thing to get right in a multiplayer, like in a competitive multiplayer setting, which For Honor has one. It was originally advertised that way. The campaign is something that we've only kind of been introduced to today. So look, there's a bit going on there. All the different eras kind of being
visited. So we've got three factions.
Yeah. There's a lot to it, and I don't know. What do you think based on what you've seen? Promising sort of game.
Yeah, look, based on what I've seen, look, if you really do have the choice of fighting in one of three factions and you're trying to sort of make peace with the other two factions, but there's this sort of other party who's trying to bring war to everyone. Look, there's definitely some good storytelling that could be done there. Based on the gameplay, there's definitely some technical advantages that could be done there. How it plays, I mean, in theory, Dynasty Warriors is a fantastic game. In theory. Yeah, no,
it doesn't play like that. Like I said,
no, I know, but look, I'm just talking in general terms. I mean, the whole idea of playing out sort of battlefield settings, in practice, will that be as fun as something like maybe a God of War, where it's like you do have a bunch of enemies and it's you fighting the world, but it's more of a brawler rather than
No, I follow what you mean there.
So and look, obviously they've not really shown too much of if there's any battlefield strategies or anything like that you can do. So who knows to what
use of terrain and those sorts of things.
Yeah, like who knows to what extent that actually, and as you can see here, like what effect the sort of enemy person has or is going to have to these factions. So who knows? I mean, it's a big question mark, but I mean it's out. Is it this year or is it next year?
February next year.
February next year.
As Aisha was quick to point out, Valentine's Day. So what better gift to give your loved one than a game?
War. Yeah.
Or Persona, because they're coming out on the same day. Look, there's a lot to it, and I'm intrigued to see more. It's good that Ubisoft's still exploring new IPs. Hell, you can see here, just at the end there, the kind of
just a little bit of
I was talking about. Why not? I think I'll probably end up picking it up and giving it a go, and if I move on, I move on. But
I'll probably like to see maybe a little bit of the game before I make that decision, but
before making a rush call like that, I should probably do the same.
Moving on now to
Wildlands, Ghost Recon. What we got during the conference was a larger demo.
Yeah, long,
very 10, open.
15 minute.
There was a lot of choice in terms of how you tackled things. You could go in all guns blazing, and the target that you're after could have just bolted and
go loud or go quiet.
Potentially, you may completely lose them. I don't know. In terms of the mission that they completed there, it was a success. So maybe there's a fail state though.
I mean, with these sorts of games, there's always a fail state. No.
Well, maybe it's just a case of a la Middle Earth Shadow of Mordor, where the guy gets away and it then has some sort of knock-on effect, like there's consequences to that.
Sure,
that'd
perhaps.
be quite cool, but
that would be interesting.
We didn't see that, and I'm sure if that was actually a thing, they probably would have demoed that.
Perhaps, yeah.
That would be a big selling point.
I suppose. I mean, maybe it's a big selling point if you're the first to do it. I don't know if saying, hey, look, we've got that same system as those other guys. I don't know if that's...
Oh, yeah. But, yeah.
I think
the moment actions still look good.
I think one of the big selling points for them for this game was that you can, instead of having to tackle... Because Ghost Recon in the past has normally been a squad-based game. I think in this game, being able to tackle it as a solo person, or just on your own, basically, is new to this franchise, and I think is also pretty interesting.
Yep.
Whether that leads on to it turns it into Far Cry, or whether it still keeps its own identity, I suppose will yet to be seen. But
there's plenty to look forward to there, and it's coming out in March next year.
Yeah, not too far away.
Yeah, it's not that far at all. And of course, we're now seeing all the flogged off collector's editions and all that sort of rubbish.
All the other business.
One that we've been super hyped for, though, is South Park: The Fractured Butthole.
We is a I don't know.
We as a human race have been excited for South Park: The Fractured Butthole.
Watching this back, it definitely does.
And the perk here, most of these trailers you're not hearing anything because we've been talking over the top, but you get
this
some
one
awesome
has some
subtitles,
subtitles.
So you can see the incredible humour that is at play here. It's more of an action game than The Stick of Truth, which was kind of a turn-based RPG, which kind of fit in with what they were going for, where it was fantasy and warlocks and...
it was them making a game about games, basically.
Yeah.
It was games and the fantasy genre.
Now they're kind of taking the piss out of Marvel and DC, really.
Basically the
superheroes.
Overusage of comic books in all media.
And I can see that one hitting the mark perfectly.
Just watching this one back, it hit all the marks for me, because I'm just like, yes,
J.J. Abrams.
all of this, yes. Basically everything here is exactly what
most of us
I am thinking all of the time. I haven't watched a comic book film in a long time, and it probably is because of most of the reasons listed here.
Yeah.
And then the transition in the Civil War is pretty funny and pretty timely, considering the film's just out.
Release of the movie, yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I think the game will play, if it's anything like the previous game, it'll play really well. It'll be a lot of fun, and it's coming far sooner than we expected. The game got unveiled last year. We know that The Stick of Truth took a long, long time to actually come out. Now, it did have a kind of troubled development because of everything that happened with THQ and whatnot.
Yeah.
But The Fractured Butthole's coming out this December.
I think they did show some of the gameplay alterations where you're actually able to move around in combat and some of that sort of stuff, which for those who played the first
someone
game...
can explain what's going on there at the end of that trailer with that guy. I don't
Please
know who that
post in the
Feel
comments.
free to post in the comments. I've clearly missed something there.
And as you can see there, I don't know to what extent, but the first game will be bundled with a purchase of the Fractured. Yeah, look, I didn't play the first one. Maybe I'll give it a go.
We're on to Grow Up, which is a sequel to last year's Grow Home. A
surprise success.
Yeah, surprise success. It was voted the PlayStation Plus freebie for that month after it came out for PC maybe a month or two earlier, and did quite well and was received quite well.
Ubisoft has had, of late, they've had quite a few...
There's always that one or two in kind of really artistic sort of games that go or kind of not necessarily super artistic, but indie influenced sort of games. So whether it's your Child of Lights and Valiant Hearts, or even how it extends to something like Rayman, but then something like this as well.
Yeah, definitely that sort of level of art.
Yeah, it's clever, and it's coming out in August.
Coming out, this year, so it's a 1 year turnaround.
Yeah, so they've done clearly it did well. They knew straight away, let's start working on it.
Yeah, it may have had some of that Mario Galaxy element of, hey, we've got too many ideas to put in the one game. Let's just jump out another one. Yeah.
So we're moving on to a new IP here called
SSX 10.
Steep. So I guess the only thing you can assume is this is only about mountains and snowboarding, skiing, that sort of stuff.
Extreme sports and stuff like that.
On mountains.
Which is weird because we expected to see some of that from Criterion at the EA conference. We got none of it, and now we've got a brand new
flying, and driving related things for every Star Wars game under the planet.
And and now we've got this coming out from Ubisoft. And
GoPro the game.
And it is coming out is it this year, did they
Yes.
say? I think it's later this year.
Yes, December.
Yeah, I think so.
Alongside South Park,
we'll,
really.
we'll see. It will show you later in the video.
I'll give Ubisoft some credit. They are, and with this and South Park, and going back to Far Cry 3 a few years back, they're not scared of releasing a game in December where it's normally considered a dead spot. Like, everything is over by then, because Black Friday and all those big sales days
Been and
are gone.
Everyone
Those
has
who
no money.
typically purchase their games have purchased their games. But they did really well with Far Cry the other year. I don't know, it's probably getting close to 5 years ago since we saw Far Cry 3.
Man, has it been that long?
Yeah, we're getting old. So yeah, I think it's been pretty close to 5 years since we saw Far Cry 3, but the success of that maybe tells them that it's worth looking at releasing a game in December. Like, it's not.
Look, if it works, it works.
Dead zone. It could come back to bite them. South Park won't. South Park.
No, South Park will do just fine.
Off the brand value, it's, if nothing else.
Off that trailer alone. Look,
really
this could be, yes. Look, I don't know, because at the end of the day, they could be going down the skate path of, hey, look, it's a sim game, so you got a lot of real world gravity and all that sort of stuff, or it could just be this weird experience based game. So who knows? Then we've got a little bit here of some Star Trek.
Yeah, so
Some
I mean,
LeVar
Star Trek's
Burton.
not something that kind of resonates with me, but it was a pretty cool little demo they showed. So I mean, we're seeing a lot of the actors from the from Star Trek films and whatnot, and shows and the like. But and it's being demoed on Oculus, but it was intriguing. You'll see a little bit more as the trailer kind of plays out, because at the moment we're just getting actor references, which doesn't necessarily mean much given that they have very little experience in gaming typically.
And look, this is sort of the world we live in now. There will be VR. Yeah. There will probably if it either peters out, and we don't see VR anymore because just no one wants it.
But everyone's going hard.
Or it's gonna stick.
It is the next thing.
And it's gonna be like handhelds, where we're always gonna see something handheld related.
Well, I mean, and we're going to talk about this
Android related or something like that
in the next podcast when we talk about PlayStation. But I foresee myself spending a majority of my time with a headset on, playing even non VR tailored games. Like, I'll go back and play Uncharted 4 and pop the headset on and watch it in cinematic mode, and presumably the same idea will apply with Oculus, apply with Oculus. I don't know too much about the other ones, so
I suppose
let me know in the comments if Oculus and Vive already support like a theatre sort of mode.
I believe they do to a degree.
Sony went hard to kind of explicitly say that, so that's why I know about it in their case. But
and will that apply to all games? Will all games have that?
You can just pop it on, and it
just a virtual screen
becomes a screen in front of you.
Okay. Will it have the full head movement?
I presume it'd just be the same screen that just follows you left to right, whatever.
Sure.
It's not moving.
Stereo,
there's no
sound, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So look, it could be interesting. It's probably good to see things going on with the Star Trek brand. Like I said, it's not necessarily one for me, but it's not to say that it can't be. Like, if they put a good game out there,
that's true.
Why not?
Very true.
I'm not closed to the idea of. Maybe when I see some of the antics that are going on from the actors here, it puts me off just a tiny bit. But
knowing that could be you. That could very well be you.
And someone will be recording me, and I'll have a headset over my eyes, having no idea that this is being documented.
I will immediately have a chat to your missus.
Yeah, and she will proceed to leave me.
No, just she can record footage that I can then post on the internet.
Autumn 2016 now. Autumn 2016. I don't know where I've bloody sourced this trailer from. The US don't refer to it as autumn, so it'll be later this year. It'll be.
This is where we need to be. This is
your jam. You were a massive fan of Far Cry Blood Dragon.
Blood Dragon was fantastic. Like, it just had
the kind of 70s stupidity.
It was just
80s.
like an 80s VHS.
And now they've kind of merged Blood Dragon with
Trials, which already has plenty of stupidity.
It's probably a good mix.
For sure. I'm not too sure how I feel about the grainy overlay, but look, I've played a lot of Trials, especially Trials Fusion. I played a lot of that game, surprisingly enough, because it's just like, it's fun. Like, it's dumb. It makes me laugh. And Blood Dragon was dumb and fun and made me laugh. So
the pairing of them, it's just
yeah.
Can't go wrong, can you?
Well, let's hope not. I mean, if that's the thing. They really got the aesthetic of the whole future setting perfectly right with Trials Fusion.
And the best thing, you can download it right now.
Oh, I'll see you later.
So, this is where we're wrapping up the podcast. Jay's going home. And as it is, this is the last thing we need to talk about for Ubisoft anyway. There was no Assassin's Creed game coming out this year. Thankfully, they're taking a break. But we do have the Assassin's Creed movie coming, so of course Ubisoft crowbarred that in there. What we're seeing is a little bit of a trailer and some behind-the-scenes stuff. We had one of the studio heads of the film sit down and talk to Aisha Tyler about what they were kind of doing and how important it was to them to ensure that what they put out there feels like it belongs with the Assassin's Creed lore and universe. But I guess all remains to be seen. We're looking at a movie trailer right now, so this is not necessarily in our wheelhouse. You're not a massive Assassin's Creed fan as it is.
I sort of stopped where a lot of people stopped after 2.
Whereas I stuck with it. Black Flag, for example, is a brilliant
punk
game.
band. Yeah, great punk band.
Sure.
Look, I'm actually curious as to where this fits in the grand scheme of Assassin's Creed, or if it even does, or if it's just this...
Just a completely standalone thing.
Yeah, because, I mean, look, let's be honest, Hollywood will always be able to do cooler stunts than you'll be able to do in Assassin's Creed, because it's a video game, and often the systems...
There are rules.
The system will generally not let you do the cool things that you want to do. You won't be able to throw a, throwing knife at one dude over to your right.
Running this way, going, throwing one straight over your head and kicking someone in the face. And...
Yeah, just, you can't choreograph it as well because you're playing it, you know what I mean? There's no, rewind time or whatever.
Yeah, of course.
If you were to blend Assassin's Creed with the Prince of Persia, then you would be having some cool-ass shit.
Alright, so let's dive into some of the things that weren't there. So, Prince of Persia wasn't there.
Very timely.
Splinter Cell wasn't there. What else wasn't there? Assassin's Creed obviously
wasn't there, yeah.
There was a few of their high-profile franchises that were
there was a bit of Division.
The Division was there.
There was some DLC, yeah.
Do you feel like the conference perhaps... And I know you didn't see it, so you're only basing on the trailers and whatnot there. Do you feel like... What do you think of the show? Look,
I think they had plenty of new stuff. I mean, look, some of it was spoiled, as with everything else, as we've talked about, but...
Which you've probably heard us say now in every single one of these recaps.
Yeah, and look, that's the unfortunate... everyone's trying to make that big news story break, which kind of does spoil the excitement of some of these conferences. But look, at the end of the day, I mean, Watch Dogs looked good, and it was new. I mean, we hadn't really seen anything for it before. Yeah. Ghost Recon, same deal. Grow Up, we hadn't really seen any of. I mean, that's again all.
Oh no! Yeah, sorry. Damn it. You're right.
Yes.
I've adjusted to the new name.
Well, look, that's new. We hadn't really seen anything of that before. I mean, obviously, it's a short turnaround, so we know what does what it says in the box. But look, there was a lot of new stuff there.
Virtual box.
Yeah, they've got some shit going on. So
and you're not normally a massive fan of what Ubisoft does.
Oh, look, I don't have anything against Ubisoft.
But it's not necessarily clicked with you in the past.
The only issue that I ever have with Ubisoft is I find that they'll make something new and then immediately spend the next 5 years making derivatives of that new thing.
Milking it for all it's worth.
Yeah, I mean, I loved Far Cry 3. I thought that was a fantastic game. I thought Blood Dragon was great because it was different enough.
Yeah.
And then Far Cry 4 came out, and it's basically it's the same with an elephant. I
follow you.
You know what I mean? And then you look at the Assassin's Creed franchise. 1 was cool, but it had its flaws, and it was there was a lot of padding.
2, they got it right.
2 was fantastic.
And then
Brotherhood was great, and then
Revelations was rubbish. 3 was
Three was panned.
4 was...
4, they brought some of it back.
Again, but that's the thing about it is, and it's what you're talking about, they did something different with Black Flag.
Well,
the whole pirate thing, the naval combat, all that, you spent most of your time out there, and it was a cool difference.
Sure.
Ubisoft needs to look at doing more different, and they did there.
They did.
And all those sorts of things.
And so that's why I felt it was a fairly strong showing. It was definitely stronger than their sort of, I suppose, peers in EA and Bethesda.
Yeah.
I mean, Bethesda, for me, the only exciting stuff there was id Software's stuff.
Yeah. This was actually also a very long show. This one,
yes, it was
2
twice
hours,
as long as...
Arguably almost longer than Microsoft's, which is crazy given that Ubisoft had...
You know.
I mean, Microsoft still didn't show a hell of a lot, but probably less than half the number of games shown. And yet they went for just as long, if not a little bit longer.
And look, that's... I mean, again, for the time of the morning that they went, it was difficult.
Yeah.
But look, they got some shit, so yeah, let them show it. That's fine.
Yeah, good on them. And they kind of, more than any other publisher, gave us a little hint as to what's going on with the NX in terms of...
Yes, which I don't know how much...
Adds a layer of intrigue.
I don't know how much allowance they had to actually talk about that. I wonder if they'll be getting some stern words from...
I'm sure they would have asked. Like, they can say it's just coming to it.
Sure,
Whatever.
I suppose,
NX is still
but...
a code name, presumably, so we'll see. But
yeah,
overall, I mean, the conference... Yeah, look, I've probably felt a little bit ho-hum about previous Ubisoft ones. This one's probably a thumbs up for me. I thought it was quite good.
I actually usually purposely sleep through Ubisoft. This time I actually did.
It was an accident.
It was an accident.
Maybe regretting it a tiny bit?
Oh, look, maybe going back and watching some of those demos would be worth my time. But
it might sway you a little bit more one way or the other.
Yeah, and that's right. Yeah, that may take away some of my enthusiasm for some of them. Like I might look at the For Honor gameplay and be like,
no.
But then again, I might not. So who knows? Like I might look at the Ghost Recon stuff and be like, I've never played a Ghost Recon game before, but I think I might actually get into this one.
Yeah.
I never know. But that's the cool part of like having shit.
Yeah.
And I think Ubisoft is probably the first one this E3 that we've seen where they've got a whole bunch of, hey, it's coming this year, and hey, here's something new that's coming next year.
Yeah.
It's either been, hey, we've got a little bit that's coming out this year, other stuff that's supposed to be coming out this year we're not showing, and a whole bunch of next year.
Yeah.
Or a whole bunch of...
They came with a plan.
Or a whole bunch of nothing, basically. Like, we've seen that, you know, some of them have just been like, hey, here's some stuff that we're just talking about now, and here's
See you in 5 years with the final product.
Yeah, for sure. So, I don't know. I actually think Ubisoft did quite well for themselves this one.
No, good.
Especially because they usually have just a buggy Assassin's Creed demo that doesn't really work properly. So it was a nice change of pace there too.
Yeah, that was good. So let us know what you thought of the conference. Call us out on anything we've said that you're not necessarily a fan of.
Or anything we missed.
Anything you missed. Anything we feel like we perhaps didn't cover as in
Glossed
detail
over.
as you'd like. But hopefully by now you've already seen our discussions about Microsoft, Bethesda and EA. We've got one more to come, which is PlayStation. So be sure to tune into that tomorrow. Until then, catch up with all the content that's up on Player 2. So in the E3 hub,
anything we've missed will be in the E3 hub.
So far, it's all there. As well as go back and revisit some of those other videos if you've not yet seen them. You can find me at Paul James P2 on Twitter. You can find Jay here
floating around on the internet. Damo's still dead.
Damo's we've lost him. He was off chasing like fluffy dog tails and stuff. And make sure to catch up with Player 2 on Twitter at Player2AU. But until tomorrow, that's Ubisoft done for this year. So we'll see you tomorrow with PlayStation.
Get some excite. It's happening.